What is up there, everybody? Citrus Aviation here for yet another video, and today I am bringing back model reviews. So many of you may remember about a year or so ago on my channel I was doing a lot of model reviews. I've done about 17 in total, and I'm going to be bringing them back with a new scoring system. And this is going to be part of my new review rating system, and it's going to be called the Citrus Caliber. A model has to be rated in this new system by several different ways, and there are going to be 10 categories for 10 points for each category and a total possible points of 100. So it'll be scored out of 100 total, and the new system is called Citrus Caliber. As you can see, I've created a nice little logo for it as well. I'd love to know what you guys think of it, and this will be the new rating system moving forward. So what are these categories that we are doing for the review system? Well, they are packaging, mold, accuracy, paint, gear, aerials, features, wing engine, quality, and collectability. Each category has 10 possible points, and then those 10 category points are added up to make the total score, which can be something out of 100. So the packaging rating rates the package of the model, how the box art is, and how much protection is provided to the model. So those are two very important factors. And then mold is basically how the mold is assembled, how it's put together, like how are the mold seams, how does it compare to the actual 757, what details did they decide to put on the mold, those sort of things. Accuracy, how accurate is the mold to the actual aircraft, that's really important. Paint, this is a very important one as well, and this is basically how is the paint put on, how quality is it, are there any smudges, how accurate is the paint to the actual aircraft. Gear, this one is basically how is the gear shaped, does it roll or not. To me that's not a feature that matters, but to a lot of people it does. Also, is it shaped correctly, are there any issues with it. Aerials, this is things like antennas, Wi-Fi boxes, NACA dots, other portions of the aircraft that come in or out. Those are put in the aerials category. Obviously newer models will tend to have an advantage in this category, but once again this is a very important part. Features, this is features including things like rolling the wheels, stands, do the gears tilt, things like that. Wing and engines, this is basically how are the wings and the engines. There's been a lot of issues with models recently on that, so I put this as a separate category. Are the wings flexing or not? Like, are they overly flappy like on Gemini models? Are the engines the correct size? Again, an issue with Gemini. And then quality, this one is basically very simple. Quality control issues, how many does the model have, if any. Things like paint smudges, missing or damaged parts, glue issues, mold seams, things like this count in the quality category. And then finally we have collectability. This is basically how collectible is it, so how much is the model worth, what does it go for on the used market, what was its MSRP and retail value, how many were produced of the model, because a more limited edition model is going to get a bit better collectability score, things like that. And then all those are put together to make the final score for the model. That is how the system works. And so that being said, I want to go over the models that I have reviewed so far and give you my rating for them. So we're going to start from the top rated models and move our way down, starting here with the Citrus Caliber Delta MD-80 by Gemini 200. This model is excellent. This model almost got a perfect score. It got 99 out of 100, but it missed 1 point because the gears are not as good as they could be in 1200. They don't swivel or anything like that. They're just fairly basic Gemini 200 gear, but that's still a very good model. Coming in at number 2, also with a 99 out of 100, we have the NGMOS Swiss Airbus A330-300. This model is basically perfect except for the fact that my port side horizontal stabilizer came out. that was the only issue with it. I've been able to slide back in, haven't had any issues with it since, but it's come out like 1 or 2 times since. But you can just slide in, no glue needed on NGMOS because, well, they actually make stuff really, really well. And they make it with very tight mold seams. So the stuff tends to stay in when you put it back in. You don't need glue for it. But that is a quality control issue, and I did have to take a point. So NGMOS, if you're watching this video and you want to send me a perfect model, I would be very happy about that. Particularly if it's a Delta A330, I would love that. But the Swiss A330 by NGMOS, almost the perfect model, comes in as my number 2 model. Coming in at number 3, we have the Phoenix models. Airbus A321neo. This model is very, very nice. As you can see, it's almost perfect. Of course, the packaging for the model isn't the greatest. It doesn't have the foam or some of the other things that provide more protection. Overall, though, it's a very nice model and still gets a 95 out of 100. Anything from 95 or higher is a highly recommended model, something I would recommend anyone pick up if they're looking for that model. And then also getting a 95 is the NGMOS United 757-200. This model is number 4 on the chart. This model is also very, very nice. It does have a couple of little issues, mostly with the engine size. It doesn't have a lot of features, and its stand hole is kind of weirdly shaped with the NG757, so that's why I had to put the features down to 9. But overall, it's a very good model. Next up, we have the British Airways 747-400. This is my 5th model on the chart, and this model is also amazing. It is a fantastic model. Had a couple issues, some quality and paint issues, but overall, very nice model, and I do recommend it at a 95 out of 100. And then moving on to the next category, these are recommended models I definitely recommend picking up. However, these models in the light green do have some issues to them. Maybe some quality issue, maybe it's an older model that's still really good, but it doesn't have as many features or aerials. And first off on the list, we had the eisendare 757-200. This was at one point my favorite model in my collection. This is the Gemini Jets one in the Heckler Aurora livery. This one's really nice, but obviously as you can tell, because it's a little bit of an older model, it didn't get as many points in the aerials and features. And the packaging isn't as good as model, so it got a 94 out of 100. Still a highly recommended model, but it got a couple of little flaws. In the same vein, we have the NGMOS 1 to 200 scale Delta Connection CRJ-200. This model is very nice, but it doesn't have very many features for what are expected on a 1 to 200 scale model. So it doesn't have a stand, it doesn't have dual lights, it doesn't have as much printed details 1-200 models tend to have. So this model gets a 94 out of 100. Because of that, it's still an excellent model. Of course, it has a couple of little issues, but I still recommend it. Anything from 90 or above is still a recommended model. Next up, we move to the 8th model on the list. 8th from the top, that is. And it is the NGMOS Delta 737-800 in the SkyTeam livery. This model is very, very nice. The NGMOS 737-800s are very nice. However, this one does have a couple of little paint issues, and of course the fact that they don't put a stand hole definitely takes a couple notches off on the features. But overall, very nice model. The best 737-800 mold I've ever seen in any scale, and this model will become fairly collectible over time as well. So that one got a 91 out of 100. In 9th position, we have our first JC Wings entry, and that is the Korean Air 777-300ER with flaps down. This model is very nice. It's the 1/4 scale model. It's quite a nice model overall. Obviously, the mold could be improved by JC Wings, but it's still a great model, and it got 90 out of 100. I'm really looking forward to trying out the new JC Wings mold. So really excited to see how they've changed and if they've addressed some of the issues that I had with it. But overall, great model. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do next. In 10th position, we had the Lufthansa Airbus A340600 by Gemini Jets. This was a 2019 release. And here we're getting into models that are nice models. They're still recommended models by me, anything from 85 to 89. However, these models have some issues. As you can see from this model basically got all 8s and 9s on the score, and that's because it's a good model, but it's not as good as it could be. It's not like, wow, this is amazing. There's always something slightly not amazing on this model, so that's why I gave it an 89 out of 100. Overall, still a recommended model if you're looking for a Lufthansa A340, still a good model. but it could be better. In 11th position, we have the Gemini Delta MD90. This is a nice model, but since it is an older model, it doesn't have quite as many features as some newer ones. The mold is still excellent, as you can see there, and the quality on this model is actually really good. But it got an 89 out of 100, still great model. Next up, we have the United Express CRJ550, Gemini model as well. Recent release, this is a nice model overall. It's got a couple of little things where it's not as detailed as some other models. Gemini regional jets and 1400 aren't super detailed, but still overall pretty nice model, and a recommended model for me at an 86 out of 100. And then finally, in this still recommended category, we have the Delta 7200 by Gemini Jets in 1 to 400 scale. This is a nice model, very nice model, got an 85 out of 100, but because it's an older model, 2007 release, this is where you can see older models have some issues compared to newer ones. Don't have as many aerials, not as many features. Mold isn't as accurate as some newer ones, and so that's why it's down here. I still love this model, great model, but it obviously has to be a little bit further down because of that. Coming in at 14th position, we get to the models that start to have some issues. I still recommend these models from 80 to 84. However, these models have some major issues, and we're going to get with a classic here, the Alaska Airlines A320 by Gemini Jets. This uses the Gemini Jets current Airbus mold, which is terrible. As you can see, the score, it has the lowest mold score of any model that I reviewed so far, 6 out of 10. This mold has all kinds of issues. I've considered putting that score even lower, like a 4 out of 10, but overall, it is still a decent model. So you can see the paint and gear are still really good, and it's got some quality issues, but overall, pretty nice model. And so I still recommend it if you're looking for an A320. Hopefully there's a better option that comes out sometime soon. Not really one available right now. Just to be aware that there are some issues with the model, but it's still good overall. And then we move to the category of models. Anything basically below 80 points is a model that has issues. Models that I would even not recommend. They have issues like this one, the American Chrome Century 8 by Gemini 200. This model was one I was hoping that would be great, but it turned out it had all kinds of issues. Mine had many issues, had registration missing on the port side. It has one of the wings that wants to come out. The horizontal stabilizer on the starboard side just constantly falls out. This model has the really not great Gemini Jet landing gear. This model has all kinds of issues, and I did give the mold a 6 out of 10 as well, just like the Alaska A320, because this one just terrible with mine. Now, I'm sure some people had a good sample, but mine came with all kinds of issues, and you can see it has the lowest quality score of any model that I've ever reviewed, a 4 out of 10. So this model got a 78 out of 100. If I had to do it again, I would not buy this model. That's just how disappointing I will fit. Next up, we have the L Classics Frontier A320 Neo. Not a terrible model, but overall not amazing. Like, it lacks detail, the paint's a bit off. It's just not super amazing, but it's the best Frontier A320 Neo available right now. Got a 77 out of 100. Still a decent model, but not amazing. Definitely could be better. And then finally, we have the American 7200 by Gemini Jets. This model, once again, suffers from it being an older model. And also, my sample did come with some issues, and so that's why I put some of these scores lower. And it's still, I like this model. If you can find one that's in really nice condition, I do recommend getting it. Also, the collectability score is lower because there have been so many of these made, just like with the Frontier A320 Neo. And so this model gets the lowest score. It's all the way at the bottom of the chart at 17th position with a 72 out of 100. This model has some problems, but overall, I do actually like this one. The only one I actually don't like on this list is the American Chrome Century. I was really disappointed by that model. But yeah, those are the 17 models I reviewed so far, and hopefully you can get an idea of how I'm going to review models in the future. Tomorrow, the very first review in this review system coming out, and it's going to be an awesome review. I know you guys will like it. So, what do you guys think of the new Citrus Caliber reviews? I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'd love to hear your feedback on this new review system. So thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and God bless you.